You seem to be keeping yourself in a page there. Something on you?
Yes, it was taking me back to 1969.
Yes.
When President Milton Obote was shot at Lugogo Indoor Stadium on the 19th of December.
Was he actually shot?
He was shot.
Because there was a story that could have been what the young people call Chiwani.
No. If it was, then I would also be part of the Chiwani. There's a small tree where somebody was hiding, and immediately gunshots rang out. It hit Obote, but I didn't know then how much it had hit him, because immediately that he fell down. And we all went down together. There's also, I didn't know they also threw a grenade, which should have finished us. I've left this mark here, basically because I said I don't want to tamper with what God gave me.
This thing is not painful.
No, it is not. It was part of the where the nurse recognized the blood was coming from. My God!
And now it is historical.
It is historical. I leave it there. Somebody has advised me to remove it. I said, why should I remove it if it didn't kill me at the time? Let it kill me later.
No, leave it.
So
Otherwise I would not have found it.
I said, exactly. And this is my trademark on the dangers of the PPS and being close to the leaders. It is not a cup of tea.
And he shares all this history with you so that you can make informed choices.
Banange, have you subscribed to OwanaPaedia? I don't know what you were waiting for.
And he shares all this history with you so that you can make informed choices.
There are not many resource persons left on the history of this country, and that's why I decided to travel all the way to Busoga to look at one of the few remaining authoritative persons, the Honorable Henry Kisajja, on the subjects we are about to tackle. Well, I got him here, but when I found him, he was engrossed in one of those books, in which I think he is even well covered. The book is a resource in itself. Let me not bother him. He seems to be enjoying. Are you ready for me?
Very much so. Thank you.
What? You seem to be keeping yourself in a page there. Something on you?
Yes, I was. This book, it was taking me back, as you can see, many years to 1969.
Yes.
When we were, when President Milton Obote was shot at Lugogo Indoor Stadium on the 19th of December.
Was he actually shot?
He was shot.
Because there was a story that could have been what the young people call Chiwani.
No. If it was, then I would also be part of the Chiwani. But we were leaving Lugogo Indoor Stadium, and just as soon as we got out of the main building, there's a small tree where somebody was hiding, and immediately gunshots rang out. It hit Obote, but I didn't know then how much it had hit him, because immediately that he fell down. And we all went down together. There's also, I didn't know they also threw a grenade, which should have finished us.
Why didn't it? But now I wouldn't.
I didn't know that they had even thrown a grenade, because immediately after that, he was picked up by the bodyguards and rushed to the nearby car. I also managed to shout out, and because I knew the people must see who had shot us. I said, "Don't kill him. Just get hold of him." Something to that effect. I said, "Make sure don't kill him. Just get hold of him." And I also rushed to join my boss, fleeing,
Yes.
being taken out. I don't know which car he went out, but I think because everybody was now for himself. I jumped in the vice president's car.
When you were not the vice president?
I wasn't vice, and I doesn't know even he would not. I don't think he would even be interested in going to the vice president car. It was the one available facing the road. I jumped into it, and it followed the president's car, the convoy. But I knew they were going to the hospital, so I rushed. He was ahead of me. I knew he was also going to the hospital, so I rushed to Mulago, and we were admitted that night. At Mulago Hospital. When I arrived, of course, the doctors who were on duty were marshaled, and they're trying to find out the damage. And they found what they found, that I think they would save him.
Yes.
And I was comforted that at least he had survived that. It was actually at that point that nurse later told me, but where is this blood on you coming from?
You had also got your share.
I had got blood on my gun here. I said, where is this blood coming from? I said, I don't know. So you opened my shirt, and there's obviously a scratch from the bullet.
Grenade.
From the bullet. It must have been from the bullet. No, the grenade did go off.
Explode. Okay.
And I've left this mark here, basically because I said I don't want to tamper with what God gave me.
This thing is not
It's
painful.
No, it is not. It was part of the where the nurse recognized the blood was coming from. My God!
And now it is historical.
It is historical. I leave it. Somebody has advised me to remove it. I said, why should I remove it if it didn't kill me at the time? Let it kill me later.
No, leave it.
So
Otherwise, I would not have found it.
I said, exactly. And this is my trademark on the dangers of the PPS and being close to the leaders. This is not a cup of tea.
Actually, you know, when I'm with you, I tend to digress in all sorts of directions. Let's fast forward. When we had an incident in Arua, I don't want to discuss the merits and demerits of the claims. I'm not interested in that one. I want you to give our grandchildren and children an idea of what could happen if a head of state is attacked and security is not very sober. Because I'm imagining if President Obote was in a crowd like a market and someone fired at him, in reaction, what would the security people do if they are not really in control? Because you survived yourself, and we nearly lost a president. Anything could go wrong. A lesson to the young. Not the merits and demerits of Arua, but an incident like that one. Because it happened again during Amin.
The reaction of security forces to the attempt of a head of state is not planned.
No.
It is so abnormal that somebody would dare to attack the president in that. They provide security, all right.
Yes.
But their response is obviously what is carried out.
It can't be programmed.
You can't program it that the senior so and so would do this, the junior so would do this. It's just immediate response of what everyone thinks. Nobody planned that when your body is shot, you'll be driven in a Pujoka or something to the hospital. You find the nearest vehicle, even if it's a police vehicle or whatever, or what.
Yes.
To get, the most important thing is to get out of that danger situation.
Yes.
That spot you must get out from that spot.
With the person you are protecting.
With the person you are protecting.
That's the first assignment.
Exactly. If you can't do that, what are you doing there as the security chap?
Bure.
Now, the next one, how do you protect him where you've taken him? Because you know he's most likely the target.
Yes.
If you take him to a place, how do you protect him? You make the response of people firing and shooting people as they go. I'm sure it would happen to anybody who is guarding a president. You can't begin to be rational when you don't know somebody is doing something irrational.
Exactly.
So I would excuse, and if it is true, that is the situation that has happened, as it was in that case. Because when we were shot at, he was rushed to the hospital. And when we got there, the first thing the security did was to put a roadblock at the Mulago Hospital, near the nurses' training school, and near the roundabout.
Yes.
And from what I later got to know, even that same night, was that the roadblock was so ruthless that anybody who came towards it was a suspect.
Because he's trying to accomplish what didn't work.
What he was trying to finish what they didn't work.
Yes.
It was one of the most ruthless roadblocks I've ever heard of, apart from those in Simbe Road, in Masaka Road, and other places during the notorious regimes.
Yes.
Consequently, that roadblock became so notorious, even my own son, Stephen Abeta.
When he was coming to check on you?
No. This is another part. He was a student at Makerere, and I think had had a night out with some of his whatever, or in Ikira, or Mukotosai, and was going back to the university. He was almost killed there at the roundabout.
While you were the PPS?
While I was PPS to the person who was being targeted.
Yes.
I say these things because they really mean a lot to me and to anybody. He was almost killed there. And when you ask him what are the cause of those scars on his head, because he has got scars on the head.
They really worked on him.
They nearly finished him there.
Because now, they would kill Stephen Nabeta because they are protecting Kyemba.
They are protecting Obote,
and
who is the Kyemba, where his uncle Kyemba was the principal press secretary. If he didn't shout that I was his uncle, private secretary is his uncle, then one of the officers, they said, no, stop, don't finish him off. I think that is a good, by luck, he would be the wind that is blowing across us.
Was this tall man Erau still on Dr. Obote's bodyguard at that time?
Erau was still there, but he left us, I think, soon after. But there was a Rao, there was a Jurong, there was a Ogwang from Shitugum, quite a number of good fellows.
And your escort were driving Peugeot 403?
It was one of the escort cars. There was one of those escort cars.
Okay.
I also had a private one at one time. But those are the circumstances of dealing with the situation that you are referring to. And by then, of course, I was a substation and nobody didn't want to bother. My concern was the head of state. And when you are dealing with the head of state, obviously, these are the abnormal things you must be prepared for. It's not just any VIP can be shot.
True.
Any VIP, and it won't make too much of a difference.
Shares all this history with you so that you can make informed choices.
Banange, have you subscribed to OwanaPaedia? I don't know what you are waiting for.
And he shares all this history with you so that you can make informed choices.
When we were coming from prison department, prison headquarters in Ruzira, 70.
Mm-hmm.
You remember there was another attempt on Obote?
Tell me.
They had waylaid us on the side of the road to shoot his convoy, to shoot him.
Who are they?
Assassins.
Uh-huh.
Some assassins. They were later actually arrested, and if we want to so I can take you from these things. There's another group which was targeting him. This was after the Kabaka of Uganda had died in London.
Uh-huh.
And these people felt they should do justice to what had happened to Edward Mutesa. Very loyal Uganda.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised for somebody who targets after you've lost somebody. This is a natural thing. If you don't, you must be abnormal.
True, true.
But where you carry it out is a different matter.
I understand.
Now,
so how did they fail again? Were your side very good at their job, or the other side was inept?
Some of these things are very difficult to explain.
Kibumba.
If you don't trust in God, it is a waste of time. We are leaving Luzira prison at about 9 to go back to Entebbe.
9 at night?
At night, after a function. We went to the function.
Okay.
We went to attend with the Commissioner of Prisons and others. We are leaving for Entebbe. And as we got into the car, somehow out of the ordinary, and I will tell you something else. Telepathy, something told me in my heart, as we were about to set off, that why is that, what is the use of that police light ahead, which is warning about our convoy? This was a normal thing for police convoys. That particular night I got out and told the police officer, I said, we don't need that light, switch it off. We are just going to, whom are we trying to get off the road at this late hour?
Kumbe, now it had occurred to you that it would serve as a beacon. Now
for some people to target it, even if you change cars as you drive,
yes,
which they're entitled to do,
yes,
still somebody will be in danger. And it depends how you target yourself. So I said, out of the blue, and I thank God for it, I said to the police officer, I said, tell them to switch off that light. Then I got back into the car with the president. I was sitting in the middle row.
The vehicle had 3.
They had 3.
Which vehicle is this now?
It is a Rolls Royce.
You were inside the Rolls Royce?
No, these were the cars that, and on the Austin Princess, those were the official cars. So I was seated in the middle row, facing, the president was right behind me. His cousin brother, Du, was sitting on the right, cousin brother, and I was in the middle, facing the two on the side. There's a glass between us and the driver and the escort in front.
Inside the Rolls Royce is like a sitting room?
It was almost, not quite, not really like the present one where you've got a table and the rest of it. But you could, I couldn't put my back to the president, so I would sit on facing him as much as possible, unless it was just cruising. So we were there, and we started. We drove. Of course, the order of precedence, the vice president was the next.
Yes.
So he was following us behind.
And that is Dr. Babiha.
That's why Dr. Babiha. He followed us. And of course I could see, as we started, I could see his light smile. But I was in opposition to say, I think the advice I've given to this one, I think would all work for the one behind. I never
So for him, he came
his flash was on. But we went. We continued up to Kampala, nothing happened. We went to Entebbe, to Entebbe Road, nothing happened. As soon as we go to Kajansi, the regional network, we had radios across, as security radios. We got a message from the Central Police Station as we were approaching Kajansi on the way to Entebbe, that the vice president had been shot. I said, shot where? shot just before Silver Springs Hotel.
Mm.
This is the truth. Of course, we are naturally scared. Was it meant for us immediately? And from that, I think the throttle was the determination of our speed.
Yes.
We sped straight to Entebbe, right to State House, and waited for get more details. Apparently, when we passed, the assassins, because eventually this story we got because they were eventually caught. They thought that the convoy which passed.
Yours was the advance party.
They said, but there is another one with the light flashing.
Those are the ones. So
He's coming, there's the one, according to them, it was the president who was coming.
Yes.
Kumbe, he had already gone past. That's how we survived on that second occasion.
Was the vice president wounded?
No.
They didn't manage to.
No, you know these Austrian princesses are big cars, you sit right at the back. And unless you fire through the, the wheel, over the wheels at the back, the chances of hitting him and with the, proof,
Was it also bulletproof?
With the bulletproof, it will be difficult.
You need some heavier.
You need some, but he was seated at the back, and by coincidence, the bodyguard normally who sits in the middle seat, because the cars were the same, had a problem and didn't come to work that day. But he had a bodyguard in front and a driver, of course. So these people saw that convoy, and they shot again through these middle windows. Anybody who had been sitting there would have been shot.
Wait, these vehicles are bulletproof, fine?
Okay, at the time, I don't think they were really.
Okay.
They were really, we had the attempts after the Lugogo thing, you had attempts to get bullet shots and bulletproof shots, but there was I'm not aware of any bulletproof car at that time that was being used. 1966, 1970. So the people, nobody was hit, but all the windows, middle windows between the driver and the president, vice president where he sat, were shattered.
Then they sped away.
They sped away to the next stop, Central Police Station. That's when we got the message from the CPS on their regional networks that the vice president had been shot. So Vice President Babika had a very, very narrow escape. Very, very narrow escape. And as well as Obote himself by accident. Again, that's why those people want is a accolades and so he said, but how did the chamber know that you switch off?
So it becomes you could have been.
Then it becomes me having to defend myself. Hey, how did you know that this could happen? And now that's one of the most stupid things. When God does things, you don't know when you are going to die.
Well, you can't blame security for asking, really.
No, it is good to ask. But if you tend to believe it, you would definitely be a different one. Because the same thing was done when I was at Lugogo. Because they said, but was I faking?
So that you would get shot at?
That I would get some sympathy. Because that kind of thing, for people who want is a favor, and so you must always be careful.
So then, where were you when Amin survived his attempt? Were you already on his staff or you had gone?
Oh, the one on Jinja Road? The one where no, I had that one, I had on 1977.
You had already taken off?
No, I had already thought I had had enough.
Okay.
I was in exile.
Since independence, there have been a number of reports of breaches of presidential security or even outright attacks on the person or property of the president. And perhaps this is a time to examine a few of them. According to veteran journalist Henry Mirima, who is also an activist of Bunyoro Kitara, there was an incident shortly before the 1964 referendum in which Sir Edward Mutesa, who was then president of Uganda, was attacked by a crowd of demonstrators in Karuguza in the so-called Lost Counties. According to Mirima, the response of the presidential security of the time was to fire on the demonstrators, killing at least 9 of them. I have not verified this independently, but Henry Mirima is a senior journalist. Then we have the December 1969 attempt on Dr. Obote, which Mzee Kyemba has narrated. In addition to that is the 1970 attack on Vice President Dr. John Babiha by attackers who thought they were attacking President Obote. Then in June 1976 was the attempt on President Idi Amin after inspecting a parade of police at Nsambia. In this one, at least 1 person was killed and 36 wounded. Then in June 1982, there was a report on a foiled attack on presidential jet while President Obote was landing at Entebbe from a visit. The rebels who had a SAM-7 missile had intended to fire on the presidential jet from Nakauka Hill. But somehow the attack was foiled and they were arrested. One of them, one Lieutenant Lima, was actually tortured to death in jail, I think in Machinde Barracks. In 1983 or thereabouts, we also heard of Vice President Paulo Mwanga's narrow escape from an ambush which was laid along Entebbe Road, somewhere around Najjana Nkumbi. More recently, in October 1991, there was a major breach of security when Mukwaya beat all President Museveni's famed security detail and stole a salute with Yoweri Museveni. No one was killed or wounded or injured, but I am reliably informed that the security detail of that day paid a very high price.
Tell me, how did you qualify to be the PPS of a prime minister of a very young country? Because I would expect you to have had either experience of other presidents, or you were in CIA or one of these things.
OwanaPaedia, OwanaPaedia, Owana for history. If we go, OwanaPaedia,
Banange, have you subscribed to OwanaPaedia? I don't know what you are waiting for.
OwanaPaedia, Owana for history.